The only other thing that I was going to do tonight, and I realize time is that,
He said we've got time.
okay, that I needed to get direction. This is the meeting I always bring to you. We are diligently working on class size. We continue to work on that every day. We are addressing, we had, to give you a good example, we had one elementary school that had one student over in one grade level in one class. And so they were over. So the question is, do they hire a teacher for one student? The principal and everybody was begging me not to split a class to do that. Last year, the board gave me direction that they did not want me splitting a class for one student in that particular case. Well, before I could even bring that particular one to the table, they had a student withdrawal. So now that school is in compliance. But we have another one, another school that was in compliance on Friday that is now one student over. We have other schools that they're 3 students over or 2 students over. Let me give you one example. We have an elementary school that in kindergarten, they are 3 over, meaning 3 classrooms, they're 1 student over. That same school in first grade, they have 1 seat available in first grade. So they're 1 student under in 1 classroom. In second grade, they're 3 students over, so 3 of their second grade classrooms have 1 student over in each one. But in third grade, they have 8 seats available. Fourth grade, they're 6 students over, so each one of their fourth grade classrooms or 1 classroom has 2 students over. In fifth grade, they have 11 seats available. So when you look at that total school, they have more seats available than they have overages, but they're not in the right spots. So if we are going to bring that school in 100% compliance, I need to hire a kindergarten teacher for 3 students, a second grade teacher for 3 students, and a fourth grade teacher for 6 students. So that's 3 teachers to 1 school. That is about $160,000 for a total of, what, 12 students?
Just for the teachers, that's not.
That's just for the teachers to co-teach. We have been able to resolve some of that because we are doing a 4 or 5 combination. I do not like to do combinations, but in this particular situation, it will work well, and they are proceeding with that. But so that will minimize 6 of the 12 students, but that does mean they will be 6 students over on that. Last year, the board gave me direction that we do what's right for students. We do not break those classrooms up, but that does mean that we're 6 students over in that school. At nobody doing anything wrong, nobody doing anything, but this becomes a business decision with that. I do have a handful of those other situations, but we're still working on it because again, we still have two weeks. Here, but I can't tell you. Now, the interesting thing is last year, with all the discussion that went on, our final penalty was $5,602, which is what I predicted it would be when we had this discussion at this time last year, where I said we had 1 school that had 1 student over in kindergarten. We paid the penalty on that. That was part of that 50. We knew these, but once we worked, we mitigated some of it because if it was a high growth school, we didn't pay a penalty because they understood that at the 11th hour you have a student enroll in a high growth area. So we are already 400 students over what our anticipated enrollment is. So we are growing. So there is some mitigation we'll be able to do. But again, these are the decisions. These are the tough decisions. I don't do this in a vacuum, and I'm going to be very transparent as I was last year. And board, if you're telling me I need to go hire 12 more teachers at this point in time, then I will certainly do that. That's to a tune of about $700,000 for about, and I'm just guessing because this changes on a daily basis, of about a little under $300,000 worth of FTE revenue. So again, these are the hard decisions. It is a moving target. High schools, give you an example. We have a high school that has 4 students over in English, 1 in 4 classrooms. They are over. We are looking to see, if there's an extra period, we could hire 1 period of a teacher. But that penalty is 4/7 of 1/2 of an FTE. So it comes out to about $1,900, a little over $1,900. So That's the penalty. So, again, I'm looking for direction from you, and I will act accordingly. But I want you to know the decision that is before us.
I appreciate you bringing that, and it's important for the public to hear this information. But like last year, I say at this point, we look at paying a penalty if a penalty will be incurred.
Because it's best for the students.
And
not
it's what is
for-
best for the students.
But also what is best for the students is to not administer all these invalid FSA tests, but we don't get to make that decision. That we have to,
Well taken.
so what I'm saying is that there are plenty of things out there that we think that we're doing that are not what's best for the students, but we do them because it's the law, and so I think if we give you the guidance that it's okay to break the law, then we're thumbing our nose at the voters who have put this in place, that otherwise it would have said, unless you're one student over here, then it's okay to pay the penalty because that would be cheaper. I just think when you're elected government, you don't get the right to ignore the laws that are on the books, no matter what the cost is.
Right now, I would need to be hiring between 12 to 15 other teachers with a class, and they may have a classroom of 5 students. So I just need you to be aware if that's the direction you want me to go, we will need to come back with a budget amendment and do, I have some teachers available, but not 15.
This board also sent to Tallahassee, I believe in the springtime, that we were going to, when there was a list of mitigations, we told them we would hire more teachers. We would, and there was a whole bunch of things that we checked off saying that we would do.
You did?
There was, we should have instead sent a cover letter that said, we don't intend to do any of these things. Instead, if it is cheaper to pay the penalty than follow the law, we'll pay the penalty. And I can't approve that.
We need to have a consensus so she knows what to do.
Let me ask you this. What is the cap? Like, at what point would it be best for students to hire another teacher? Like, what do you look at to make that determination?
Well, the difference is, we have a kindergarten classroom that has 19 students in it as opposed to 18. That's a matter of opinion.
Right.
Of whether, is that okay to have, according to class size amendment, at this point in time in October, we need 18 students in a classroom. In February, we can have up to 3 over in a classroom if you have growth. And most of our schools are experiencing growth. So in February, I can have up to 21 in that same classroom, and it's okay if they've experienced growth. And we bring a resolution for you to approve that comes in October to allow us to use the soft caps as permitted by the statute. The state, when we talk to them, they understand that you could have the last day of FTE count in that classroom be 18, and the last day a student comes and walks through the door. Do we say, no, you don't come to school today because we've got a class cap and this is the last day and I can't hire a teacher for one student? No, we don't. We bring that student in, we welcome them, and we get them into a classroom. And yes, that classroom is at 19, and yes, we report that student as the 19th student, and we are over. I don't know how to control that. I don't know how to react to that.
That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is when you get these reports every day, at what point do you think, yes, I need to put another teacher in place because all of my classes are 1 over and I know I'm having growth. That's what I'm asking.
We look at, like, if we see that there's 11 students over in K1 and 2, then we award another teacher, and they do a combo class, and they'll do a K1 class. Because if I have 5 in kindergarten and 6 in first grade, yes, then we hire a teacher. Absolutely, we do. But I don't hire 2 teachers, one for kindergarten and one for first grade. We hire 1 teacher for 11 students because that is the right way to do it. But what I don't like is doing a combo class.
Right.
But that's what we're doing. And see, so many, the example I gave you, where you have kindergarten and then you have seats in first grade, you can't do a K and a 2 combo.
Right.
But I could in the 4-5, and that's what we're doing. Other districts, they hire a substitute for a certain window of time until somebody moves. But that is not staying in that we've never done that.
Right.
Because that does meet the letter of the law, but it's not the spirit of the law.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
And I can share with, well, three of you weren't with us before. About 6 years ago, this became a big issue. And we were moving students 3, 4, 5 weeks into the semester. And we had a father come, and he pleaded, and that his son had been in, I believe, a history class and got moved out of his history class because there were too many students and into another class which he had missed a whole month's worth of work. And so that's where we say what is best for the students. And I understand the law is the law, but sometimes we have to say what is best for the students. And if we're one student over, then whose child gets to move? Is it okay that your child or my child or somebody else's child gets moved because there were one or two more students brought to the school and your child has already formed a relationship with his or her teacher? So that's where it comes down to be. And that's where we say what is best for the child, because to disrupt that child's life can be more detrimental in the long run.
Bill, you've been wanting to say something?
Not really.
I thought you were.
No, I'm sitting here absorbing. Because on the one hand, I totally support Mark's spirit in his approach to our governance and our requirement. On the other hand, I think I would feel better if, last year we had this $122,000 debacle that leaked out, which I now hear is $5,000, which is.
Well, that's what we ended up, that was our penalty.
Yeah, but it started out this
Yeah.
huge number, and we're running defense, and in the course of that opportunity, and the year before I was on the board, and we had another issue with class size, and I think that I would be more comfortable if anyone could tell me that 22 is a magic number, or I've seen no research to that, and that now what I did find was anything under 25, and so, and there are a lot of educators who've written white papers about that, but I never found this whole magic number, and that bothers me. And so it gives me some solace that if we really empower our teacher and if we understand the finances of our district, that if we have a high-performing teacher and a high-performing student, then 1 over it seems to be much to do about nothing to me. That it may well be in another scenario that one student where that teacher isn't high-performing and doesn't have discipline over the class, that maybe that's another issue altogether. You know what I mean? So from my perspective, I trust the superintendent's judgment to make both the right call for the student and for the teacher, and then ultimately for the financial stability of the district. So I'm good. No one screamed in the last 2 years the decisions that you made and your teachers made. Well, a couple of people might have screamed, but anyway. But
Out of 43,000 students, that's not much.
No, and I think that again for me the piece would be when legislators made rules, and it barely passed, by the way, and there's 8 zillion different caveats of how you get around it, that it's been pretty mired in distrust already. I'm just talking about the statute in general. I get the intent. The intent was smaller classes. That's the intent. But again, the numbers that we have to deal with, where is the data that supports that those numbers specifically are to the benefit of our students? That in the private sector, you see 25 in elementary is sort of the cap, and there's wiggle room 1 or 2. And those students are high-performing students. So it depends on the teacher, the student, and we can't make that decision sitting here. What I can say is I am, after the last 2 years, and we had some events the last 2 years about student, our class size. But in every case, I trust the superintendent's judgment, and that's where I land on this.
Okay, thank you.
I will say to you, board members, that I will do everything to make sure that we are in compliance in the appropriate manner. I also know that I cannot control a student walking in that week of FTE week, and we're going to take that student. And I want to be very transparent about that. Right now, we are working at it. Every day, we are checking errors. We are checking, I have personally called schools that had high list of errors and we're working on those. But again, when I see a classroom, this one classroom, one student, one over one period. That, and I, just to disrupt that whole notion, I just wanted to be very transparent about it.
Well, and the other thing that just for half a second, that I had a friend to me from another school district call, and they hire substitutes for like this brief window of time.
That's what she
And,
said.
oh, you already said that, sorry. And I'd much rather, if we're talking about being honest, I'd much rather just go ahead and report it and
Yes.
be done.
Yes.
Then we're sort of, now we're being sort
I am
of,
going to report it. I'm not.
now we're slimy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's just report it and move on.
I agree with you. Okay. Do you have
That's all,
direction?
that's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah, we did. Letters of condolence?
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Consensus, so the consensus is that,
We leave it up to the superintendent?
okay, consensus not being unanimous support, just,
I heard
Because I-
that 4 people,
okay,
and I heard one person
Good.
not in
Okay.
agreement.
all right, just wanted to make sure it was clear. Thanks.
Okay.
But again, I want to make sure that I'm being open and honest and forthright on this topic because of the past. I'm sorry, I just am. I'm being overly cautious.